C. HAPTER 27. D. ULCE. A. ND. T. He. S. Acre. F. Isles. O. F. A. U. S. I. NTELLIGENCE. W. ORKER. The following information was released by Jefferson Souza, a contactee who has had repeated encounters with the Vagalirants, who according to Souza are similar in appearance to the dark-skinned Orientals of India. Souza also claims contacts with Scandinavian-appearing humans from Iuma or Wolf 424, the Umo people. Both cultures utilize a huge Federation base located within a vast system of caverns deep beneath the Death Valley Panamint MTs. Region of California. In fact, several Federation groups utilize the base according to Souza, which contains whole areas specifically conditioned with the various gravitational, atmospheric and environmental conditions necessary to meet the needs of the various Federation visitors and dignitaries. The Paiute Indians of the southwest USA claim that a Greek or Egyptian-like race first colonized the massive caverns within the Panamint MTs. Thousands of years ago, one source claims the base was established around 2500 BC, which is incidentally about 600 years following the beginnings of the rise of Egyptian intellectual culture, when Death Valley was part of an inland sea connected to the Pacific Ocean. When the sea dried up, these people, who were described as wearing flowing robes draped over one shoulder, headbands holding back their long dark hair, and bronze golden skin, out of necessity began to develop their collective knowledge and intellect, and soon afterwards began to construct silvery flying canoes. At first these flying machines possessed wings, were relatively small, and flew with a dipping movement and a loud, whirring noise. As time passed, the ships became wingless, grew larger in size, and flew ever more smoothly and silently. Eventually these people, the HAVMUSUVS, moved their civilization into still deeper caverns which they had discovered farther underground, and commenced to explore the nearby planets and eventually other star systems as their own technological explosion began to refine every aspect of their society. These HAVMUSUVs have apparently had interplanetary or interstellar travel for 3,000–4,000 years since they first developed their flying machines. Could they have been one of the many native Terranian 318? Ancient astronaut civilizations which apparently had colonized Lyra and other systems. The story of the Panamints was related by a Navajo Indian by the name of Ogamake, who in turn heard it from an old Paiute medicine man. What about Souza's reference to the vegans, who are similar in appearance to East Indians? I believe that India is a major key to understanding our planet's lost history. The ancient Vedic texts speak of flying ships called Vimanas, as well as nuclear technology which was utilized by the ancients there. Hinduism itself arrived in India as a result of the pre-Nordic, Aryan, invasion from the north, the Gobi region. Some researchers insist that the Mayas and Egyptians were originally navigators from India, possibly explaining the similarity in architecture and their advances in medicine, astronomy, mathematics, and so on. Swiss ethnoarchaeologist Yves No also quotes from ancient Indian texts which state that the leaders of ancient India later collaborated with secretive Grecian intellectual societies in the development of aerial ships. So then, the HAVMUSUVs may have been representatives of any one of these cultures: Nordic Aryans, East Indians, Egyptians, Mayas, Greeks, or a combination of cultures. However, one thing is certain: only a very small portion of the true history of planet Earth, as of this writing, can be found in the standard historical textbooks. Jefferson Souza claims that the following revelations are from the personal notes and scientific diaries of a scientist who was commissioned by the U.S. government over a period of several years to visit all crash sites, interrogate captured alien life forms, and analyze all data gathered from that endeavor. Eventually this person was discovered to have kept and maintained personal notes on his discoveries and was therefore scheduled for termination, not just job termination, which he narrowly escaped. Following 33 years of investigations, he went into hiding in 1990. The Blue Planet Project, Alien Technical Research 25. Westchester Camp, Office of Central Research No. 3 Alien Life Forms. Code Aramis 3, ADR 3-24 SM Section. The Dulce Base. Code JB3. The following material comes from people who know the Dulce underground base exists. They are people who worked in the labs. 319. Abductees taken to the base, people who assisted in the construction. intelligence personnel, NSA, CIA, etc., and some specific UFO inner Earth researchers. This information is meant for those who are seriously interested in the Dulce base. For your own protection, be advised to use caution while investigating this complex. An ongoing investigation made by JB 3, Code SR 24.3b7. Note: the author is no doubt quoting from some of the writings of a researcher and friend of yours truly, who has been at the very center of the Dulce investigations and has met with Thomas Costello personally. J. B. 3 would be Jason Bishop 3, Branton. Whose planet is this? These specific aliens Greys, reptiloids consider themselves native Terrans. They are an ancient race, descendants of a reptilian humanoid species. They are untrustworthy manipulator mercenary agents from another extraterrestrial culture, the Dracos, who are returning to Earth, which was their ancient outpost before the coming of the original Uni-Terrestrials, to try to use it as a staging area, which is not easy at all because it causes all the other 170 different alien species to want their share of the metagene secrets. Note: these 170 are in most cases various subspecies of the humanoid and reptiloid root species, although various other trans-dimensional species are also visiting Earth, like the insectoids, etc. This also includes various humanoid and reptiloid species who are the products of genetic integration with various bizarre, animal, life forms. The metagene is an inbred gene within humans on Terra resulting from the mixture of various cultures upon the mother world or Genesis world, a genetic anomaly which can produce extraordinary characteristics and abilities in individuals, allowing them to accomplish what would be considered by many ETs to be extraordinary physical and psychic feats. Branton. But these alien cultures are in conflict over whose agenda will be followed for this planet. All the while mind control is being used to keep humans in place, artificially of course, especially since the 40s. The Dulce complex is a joint US government and alien base. It was not the first one built with the aliens, and others are located in Colorado, Nevada, Arizona, Alaska, etc. 320. The Navajo Dam is a main source for conventional electrical power, with the second source in Elvada, which is also an underground entrance to the Dulce base. Note: if Rand is the mother of think tanks, then the Ford Foundation must be considered the father. Rand's secrecy is not confined to reports, but on occasion extends to conferences and meetings. On page number 645 of the Project Rand, Proceedings of the Deep Underground Construction Symposium of March 1959, we read: just as airplanes, ships and automobiles have given man mastery of the surface of the Earth, tunnel boring machines will give him access to the subterranean world. Note: the September 1983 issue of Omni, page 80, has a color drawing of the Subterrane, the Los Alamos nuclear-powered tunnel machine that burrows through the rock, deep underground, by heating whatever stone it encounters into molten rock magma, which cools after the subterrane machine has moved on. The result is a tunnel with a smooth, glazed lining. These underground tubes are used by electromagnetically powered sub-shuttle vehicles, which can travel at great speeds. They connect the so-called Hidden Empire sub-city complexes. Also, the top-secret project code-named Noah's Ark used the tube shuttles in connection with a system of over 100 bunkers and bolt holes, which have been established at various places on Earth, including beneath nearly every military base and many airports in North America. Branton. They built the same type of subterranean tunnels at the ultra-top-secret Moon and Mars bases as well. Many of these underground cities are complete with streets, sidewalks, lakes, small electrical cars, buildings, offices and shopping malls. Deep sections of the Dulce complex connect to natural cavern systems. A person who worked at the base CR-24 ZM-35 File IV, who had an Ultra 7B clearance, reports the following. There may be more than 7 levels, but I only know of 7. Most of the aliens are on levels 5, 6, and 7. Alien housing is on level 5. Transamerican Underground SUBSHUTTLE System TAUSS. 321. Overt and covert research within Dulce, as U.S. Energy Secretary John Harrington named the Lawrence Berkeley Laboratory and New Mexico's Los Alamos National Laboratory to house new advanced genetic research centers as part of a project to decipher the human genome. The genome holds the genetically coded instructions that guide the transformation of a single cell, a fertilized egg, into a biological being. Note, contactee Alex Collier claims that the reptiloid species of Alpha Draconis and Rigel Orion, although involved in short-term mind control projects, are also interested in long-term genetic control, that is introducing genetic information into a conquered race in order to keep succeeding generations subjected to the draconian elite by sabotaging certain genetic strengths. Branton. The Human Genome Project may well have the greatest direct impact on humanity of any scientific initiative before us today, said David Shirley, director of the Berkeley Laboratory. Covertly, this research has been going on for years, at Dulce Labs. Level number 6 at Dulce is privately called Nightmare Hall. It holds the genetic labs. Reports from workers, CR24, ZM52 Files 7, who have seen bizarre experimentation, are as follows. I have seen multi-legged humans that look half human, half octopus. Also reptilian humans, and furry creatures that have hands like humans and cry like a baby. It mimics human words, and also huge mixture of lizards and humans in cages. There are fish, seals, birds and mice that can barely be considered those species. There are several cages and vats of winged humanoids, grotesque bat-like creatures about 3.5 to 7 feet tall. Gargoyle-like beings and draco-reptoids. Level number 7 is the worst, row after row of several humans and humanoids, hundreds, perhaps thousands, in cold storage. Here too are embryo storage and storage vats of humanoids, in various stages of development. Notes. 1. Human and animal abductions, for their blood and other parts, slowed in the mid-1980s when the Livermore Berkeley Labs began production of artificial blood for Dulce and its sister complexes. 322. 2. About the confrontation, human and alien at Dulce, 82 people were killed between scientists and the National Recon Group, apparently 66 from Special Forces and 16 scientists. Branton, the Delta Group, which is responsible for security of all alien-connected projects. Also, there were hundreds of other wounded people and 132 dead aliens. The Dulce facility is the most well-known place where this joint interaction activity occurs, although there are at least another 26 bases within the United States that have similar facilities. In the book, ETS and UFOs, They Need US, We Don't Need Them, was an original idea for one title, but not my personal choice, by Virgin Posty Armstrong. He reports how his friends Bob and Sharon stopped for the night in Dulce and went out to dinner. They overheard some local residents openly and voicefully discussing extraterrestrial abductions of the townspeople for purposes of experimentation. The ETs were taking unwilling human guinea pigs from the general populace of Dulce and implanting devices in their heads and bodies. The townspeople were frightened and angry but didn't feel they had any recourse since the ETs had our government's knowledge and approval code. State Route 24, AK.5. Several Dulce residents are not naturally from this area. Single people and even couples with children have just come to the town of Dulce since 1948. Generations of frozen agents occupied in suspect positions. Work in a gas station, drugstore, bar, restaurant, etc. They're there to listen and report anything which violates their limit of security. Always in the town of Dulce, you never know who is who. The Dulce base is run by a board. The chairman of the board is John Harrington. Jim Baker of Tennessee is the NSA/CIA link to Dulce. House Speaker Jim Wright of Dallas, Texas, the nation's third highest office, is the treasurer at Dulce. There is currently a power struggle going on, as Rep. William Thomas R. California put it. Part of Jim Wright's problem is he fails to understand what's equitable and fair. It's the arrogance of power. Even among his fellow Democrats, many find Wright to be uncomfortable. Wright's operating style leaves him vulnerable. 323. Most meetings of the Dulce boards are held in Denver, Colorado and Taos, New Mexico. Former New Mexico Senator Harrison, publicly known as Last Man on the Moon, Schmidt has full knowledge of Dulce. He was one of 7 astronauts to tour the base. In 1979, he held an animal mutilation conference in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This was used to locate researchers and determine what they had learned about the links between the mute operations and the alien government deals. Senator Bryan of Nevada knows about the ultra secrets at Dreamland and Dulce. So do many others in the government. This is what the UFO researchers are up against, so be careful. They have killed to keep this information secret, and by reading this document, you now know more than they want you to know. After all, a fascist group, within this country, had John Kennedy assassinated and got away with it. Look to the links within the larger umbrella, the web, of a fascist totalitarian. Secret police state, within the Pentagon, JCS, DIA, Division 5 of the FBI, DISC, DIS and CIA. Other information contained in the Blue Planet Project manuscript includes information on various secret government projects, including the following. The MAJI, Majestic Agency for Joint Intelligence Projects. Sigma, initial project involved with attempts to establish communication with alien intelligence. Plato, responsible for establishing diplomatic relations with the aliens. This project secured a formal treaty, illegal under the U.S. Constitution, with the alien Greys. Aquarius, concerned with investigating the history of alien presence on Earth and interaction with human beings. An outgrowth of this project is a huge thesaurus-like document called the Yellow Book describing aliens, their history in regards to humanity, and technology. Some believe that the Yellow Book is filled with alien propaganda meant to make government agents vulnerable to alien psychological manipulation. For instance, this would include the deception that humanity is a genetic creation placed on this planet by the reptilians, and so on, and the potential results of such propaganda, for instance, that 324. Since they are our creators, we have absolutely no defense against them and might as well try to negotiate with them and attempt to appease our creators by giving them what they want. Branton. Garnet, a project responsible for control of all information and documents regarding the alien subjects and accountability of their information and documents. Pluto, a project responsible for evaluating all UFO and IAC identified alien craft information pertaining to space technology. Pounce, a project that was formed to recover all downed and/or crashed craft and aliens, and provide cover stories and operations to mask the true endeavors whenever necessary, i.e. such as cover stories of crashed, experimental, aircraft, construction, mining activities, etc. NRO, National Recon Organization, based at Fort Carson, Colorado. Responsible via Delta Forces for security on all alien or alien spacecraft and underground base projects. Delta, the special arm of the NRO which is especially trained and tasked with security of all magic projects MAJI or Magic Oversea. MJ-12. Also code-named Men in Black, the Delta Forces are trained to provide alien-tasked projects and Luna base security. Blue Team, the first project responsible for reaction and/or recovery of downed and/or crashed alien craft and/or aliens. This was a U.S. Air Force Material Command project. Also synonymous with Alpha Team Crash Retrieval Projects. Sign, the second project responsible for collection of intelligence and determining whether alien presence constituted a threat to the U.S. national security. Sign absorbed the Blue Team projects. This was a U.S. Air Force and CIA project. Red Light, the project involving the test flying and back engineering of recovered alien craft at Area 51 Groom Lake, Dreamland, Nevada. UFO sightings of craft accompanied by black unmarked helicopters are Project Red Light assets. Snowbird, established as a cover for Project Red Light. This project is activated from time to time when it is necessary to provide cover stories 325. For red light operations, etc., by releasing information on advanced conventional military aircraft which are used to explain unexplained UFO sightings. Blue Book, a U.S. Air Force, UFO, an alien intelligence collection and disinformation project. This project was terminated and its collected information and duties were absorbed by Project Aquarius. A classified report named Grudge Blue Book, Report Number 13, is the only significant information derived from the project and, other than information from second-hand sources, is unavailable to the public. Reports number 1 to 12 and number 14 are available to the public. The Grudge Blue Book Report Number 13 mentions that many military government personnel and civilians have been terminated, murdered without due process of law, when they had attempted to reveal the alien interaction with the secret government. Some of MAJI's secret weapons against the aliens include Gabriel, a project to develop high-frequency pulsed sound-generating weapons that would be effective against alien crafts and beam weapons. The project also involves working with high-frequency microwaves. Joshua, the development of low-frequency pulsed sound-generating weapons. This weapon was developed and assembled at Ling Tempkovat in Anaheim, California. It was described as being able to totally level any man-made structure from a distance of 2 miles. It was tested at the White Sands Proving Grounds, and developed between 1975 and 1978. It is a long horn-shaped device connected to a computer and amplifiers. The project also involves low-frequency and microwave projection. Excalibur, this is a weapon designed to destroy alien underground bases developed and funded mostly by intelligence branches connected with the U.S. Navy and SDI projects who have rejected any further interaction with the Greys after they turned on, used during the Groom Massacre and the Dulce Wars. Some patriotic elements of MJ-12 and the MIC, military-industrial complex, support this agenda of resistance, whereas other elements tied in with the corporate imperialists of the 326. International banking community support continued collaboration for purposes of acquiring further mind control technology for their new world order. Excalibur is a missile capable of penetrating 1,000 meters of tufa hard-packed soil, such as is found in New Mexico, with no operational damage resulting. The missile's apogee is not to exceed 30,000 feet above ground level (AGL), and impact must not deviate in excess of 50 meters from designated target. The device carries a 1 to 10 megaton nuclear warhead. The secret for a self-contained missile drill, a vertical shaft over 1,000 meters deep, consists in an energosynthetizer macrowave deflector in the missile warhead. Magic has 5 other major weapons to be used against the aliens, however little if any information on these is available. Also from the same report we find the following information on reptiloid alien forms. Average height, male 2.0 meters, female 1.4 meters. Average weight, m 200 kilos, f 100 kilos. Body temperature, m, ambient temperature, f, ambient temperature. Pulse respiration, m 40 tenths, f 40 tenths. Blood pressure, m 80 50ths, f 80 50ths. Life expectancy, m 60 Earth years, f 23 Earth years. Cold-blooded. Like all reptiles, the reptiloid is found to flourish in a warm, tropical climate, normally artificial, big caves. With imperfect respiration providing just enough oxygen to supply tissues and maintain the processing of food and combustion, their temperature can be raised only a few degrees above the ambient. This suggests that heat, weapons, like flamethrowers and so on, may prove to be nearly immediately effective and fatal to this species under battle conditions. The reproductive system is oviniparous, with eggs hatching in the oviduct prior to birth. The underdeveloped reptiloid, for faster activities, physical activities, cerebellus results in a slowness and simpler city of movement. The reptiloid eye is composed of thousands of microscopic facets, each facet with its own independent protective lid. The eye is almost never closed entirely during waking hours, rather, sections of the organ are shut down in conjunction with the dominant light source. The 327 reptiloids survived, hidden, inside the earth within big caves. Underground. Information on the insectoids. Average height. Master race male 1.6 meters, female 1.2 meters. Average height. Servant race M 1.0 meters, F 1.0 meters. Average weight. Master race M 70 kilos, F 40 kilos. Average weight. Servant race M 35 kilos, F 35 kilos. Body temperature, M 110 halves, F 110 halves. Life expectancy, M 130 Earth years, F 130 Earth years. Note, are the current attempts to create a genetic reptilian insectoid hybrid race, like those genetically mutated species reportedly existing in Bellatrix Orion, a result of the reptiloid's desire to increase their lifespan. Branton. The insectoid retina is composed entirely of tone-sensitive rods, and is incapable of discrimination between different wavelengths of light. Therefore, the addition of color to the insectoid's vision is accomplished by the dual antennae which, in addition to being auditory receptors, are made up of a complex network of wavelength-sensitive cones. Owing to the highly directional nature of the antenna, the corona of vision is perceived by the subject in the tones of gray. Because of this correlation of 4 independent light-receptive organs, insectoid vision can be correctly termed quadrascopic, resulting in relatively superior depth perception. Insectoid auditory capabilities are highly developed, and Insectoids are capable of distinguishing from among a wider range of audio frequencies than is normal for humanoids. Because of the monodirectional antennae, insectoids, most of which have been observed in the form of giant mantis, locust or grasshopper type entities, Branton, usually listen with their head tilted slightly downward. They also have a limited exoskeleton. More alien races mentioned in the secret report. 1. Type A, Rigelian, Rigel, or the Gray 2. Type B, 2 Reticulae, Z Reticulae 1, or Gray 3. Type C, 2 Reticulae, Z Reticulae 2, or Gray 4. Type D, Orion, Pleiades, or Nordic 328. 5. Type E, Bernard's star, the orange. Information on the Rigelian reptilian grays. Luna 1 is the Rigelian base on the far side of the moon. It includes a base, a mining operation using very large machines, and very large alien crafts or carrier ships. WAVENEST is the Rigelian base in the Atlantic Ocean, and includes an underwater alien base, mining and big cigar-shaped crafts. Rigelians made contacts with certain members of the MILITARYINDUSTRIAL corporate, or secret, government complex from 19,471,971. The government thought that the Greys meant us no harm, but in 1982 and 1988 the picture that emerged was exactly the opposite. The story now is one of great deception at several levels. The Greys, Trojan horse, style manipulation and lying involved MJ-12 magic forces. The current agreements with the Greys within the NSA connected levels of the military-industrial complex, some sources have implied, continue as a result of the large level of alien infiltration and mind control that exists throughout certain levels of the intelligence community. Branton. The inner core of the CIA, NSA is deeply controlled by the Greys, working under the instructions of the aliens from Rigel, the CIA informer. Nazi scientists have developed and deployed malignant strains of bacteria and viruses, including AIDS, in order to exterminate undesirable elements of the human population. Information on the Nordic races. Average height: male 2.0 meters, female 1.7 meters. Average weight: M 90 kilos, F 70 kilos. Body temperature: M 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, F 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Pulse respiration: M 72, 5/16, F 72, 5/21. Blood pressure: M 120/80, F 80/50. Life expectancy: M 60 Earth years, F 23 Earth years. According to other sources, this low life expectancy is probably greatly exaggerated. Branton. Information on the orange. The orange are reportedly humanoids with red, stocky hair and in some cases may have been genetically tampered. 329. With an imputed with various levels of reptilian genetics, making them a quasi-hybrid race, although apparently mostly human, in many cases. Unlike the reptilians, however, they have external reproductive organs and are apparently capable of mating with other humanoid races. They come from the Bernard's star system. On certain rare occasions they have been seen with facial hair, beards, etc. Apparently some strains of the orange hybrids are more humanoid than are others. Branton. Average height: male 1.7 meters, female 2.0 meters. Average weight: M 70 kilos, F 50 kilos. Body temperature: M 91 degrees Fahrenheit, F 91 degrees Fahrenheit. Pulse respiration: M 242/61, F 242/61. Blood pressure: M 80/40, F 80/40. We will close this section by quoting from one more installment of the Blue Planet Project. The metagene factor. The metagene is a biological variant lying dormant in select members of the human race, especially on planet Earth, until an instant of extraordinary physical and emotional overstress activates it. Apparently a latent self-preservation gene, capable of producing seemingly superhuman abilities in Earth humans during times of extreme stress or crisis. Branton. That's an energochemical, in response to adverse stimuli. A chromosomal combustion takes place, as the metagene takes the source of biostress, be it chemical, radioactivity, or whatever, and turns the potential energoresponse into a catalyst for genetic change. The main focus of the catalyst power is a gland in the middle of the human brain called the pineal gland, and the nutrient for increasing the pineal's action is the adrenaline. The metagene factor gives the ability of psionic power, for better or worse. The main interest of the aliens, especially the Greys, is to understand and control the metagene for their own race. They try to do this using biological experiments to make hybrids from both humans and aliens. They believe perhaps the men from planet Earth are the deadliest creatures in the universe. Because only on Earth people are apparently capable of generating the metagene factor, which 330 means natural psionics ability, real power, note, power for good or evil, you might say. One of the reasons that humans on Earth are being controlled, harnessed is the case with the Nazi NSA military-industrial space forces, or denied advanced interplanetary technology as in the case of those who have not been brought under their control, is simply because the aliens, especially the malevolents, are terrified that if a free non-collectivist human society from Earth gets a foothold in space, then we would pose a deadly threat to their alien agendas of conquest and manipulation throughout the galaxy. This is why they are intent on taming or harnessing the metagene factor as they have done with the fascist forces based in Antarctica via massive mind control, so that these forces can be channeled as human shields, or warriors, to fight their battles in space against interstellar cultures who would otherwise resist the activities of the draconian collective. We must demand from the military-industrial complex which has been built with our tax dollars, and which is being deeply influenced by alien fascist forces, that they cease from selling us out, and share their interplanetary technology with the rest of us, so that we as a whole can access the stars rather than just a core of super-wealthy and alien-controlled elite. If we as a constitutional republic, and Congress rightfully take overt control of whatever space projects have and are being financed by our tax dollars, then the open space policy and public conscience itself will prevent these space forces from engaging in any unjustified military actions against peaceful worlds that would defy the foundational ethics of the U.S. Constitution on the one hand, or will prevent us from allying ourselves with any exploitative and manipulative alien force on the other hand. Branton. The principal races in the universe are psychologically the same. The pure cold logic is a normal order to most important races. Basic sameness makes for predictability and security. The enemy one knows are the ones you can guard against. This is not the case with unpredictable mankind. While most are uniformly human, some, many more, apparently, than anyone had dreamed possess a latent tendency towards superhumanity, natural psionic abilities. That in itself could prove dangerous for any idea of alien domination on Earth. 331. Note, for instance, some Terrans have the ability to scan the UPF or universal psionic field with their superconscious minds via projecting and focusing their magnetic body at various levels on a conscious or unconscious basis, and any subjective danger that is detected through this process is converted to consciousness via intuition. This might be compared with remote viewing, which is simply the human brain's ability to tune into and ride the universal psionic field or the flow line, like a biochemical radio receiver scanning the psionic air waves, and psionic waves are a tangible energy form that can be measured just as radio waves can. The electromagneto-gravitic grid of any planet, and supposedly the EMG fields which connect the planets and stars at a subtle level, serve as the energy web in which thought forms are trapped and contained. Humans are multidimensional beings and therefore have the ability to perceive the vast reservoirs of thought forms within these interstellar grids on an intuitive level, for instance when they are dreaming. During the dream state the brain operates on a lower frequency, and what we might call psionic long waves are produced which can reach out and connect with others. Long waves on the same frequency are connect with the psionic field itself and observe the psychic atmosphere resident within any certain area through tapping into the reservoir of thought forms there. This would explain why people often have vivid dreams near high energy grid areas, simply because these areas tend to trap more thought form, psionic or psychic energy residue than do other areas. Also astral, human or animal life forms which have become trapped within these psionic energy grids by encountering powerful EMG zones like that which exists in the Bermuda Triangle area, essentially having entered into or become part of a world of thought forms, a dimension density where events and objects are more fluid than they are in the third dimension, might be contacted, for better or worse, while in the dream state. Not all of the beings, or even dreamscapes, that one encounters within the dream state are the exclusive products of one's own subconscious mind. Branton. By coupling mankind's inherent belligerence with the fact of the metagene effect, each human is unique and Earth becomes a spawning ground for an unpredictable super race, if we have the chance. Others have already demonstrated an awareness of man's potential. 332. Throughout human history. This is because the aliens are here to try to control Earthlings before we dominate them, and they want our most important secret, the metagene factor, which is the aliens' only hope.